Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for your testimony. Owana, you did a great job with when you described workplace sexual harassment as traumatic, and it adversely affects victims emotionally and behaviorally. And the important part, it infiltrates all aspects of their family and social life. There's no escaping it. It goes on and on, especially when it's ongoing within the workplace. What's the greatest barrier for victims that you see when it comes to them coming forward and reporting?
What a wonderful question. Thank you for paying attention to that issue. Non-disclosure to begin with, not used in a legal term, by the way, is a huge issue. As Donna had mentioned before, a lot of the victims with whom we work, especially in our counseling sessions, do not actually make an official report. Some of the barriers that we have found and research supports is not being believed. So there are two dynamics as far as research has shown and what our work has shown as well. Victims come to this strong belief that nobody will support them and nobody will believe them in their disclosure. At the same time, when sexual harassment in the workplace might be an ascendant type of a dynamic. So it might begin with a touch on the shoulder. It might begin with an inappropriate comment, and then it escalates from there on out. By the time it comes to a point where it becomes so egregious that a disclosure would be warranted by all intents and purposes in anybody's view, the victim is already well under that oppression of shame, embarrassment, confusion, and the lack of lateral support, whether it's colleagues or the system within the workplace that does not support the victim to make a disclosure, is one of the other barriers. So not being believed, not being supported by colleagues, not having a point of report that is of multiple points of contact, right? So if I only have one person to whom to report sexual harassment, I may or may not have collegial or otherwise relationship with that person. If I know I have 5 other different people to whom I could report the sexual harassment, it might make it more likely for me as a victim to come forward. So having multiple points of report, I think that would help as well. And that's a barrier at this point in time. I could go on and on about the emotional context of that, the shame, embarrassment. A lot of victims internalize the harassment, thinking, I must have done something to provoke this. So we work, of course, right, irrational thinking, which, of course, we detangle in counseling, but that is one of the biggest barriers as well. A culture that supports that kind of toxic thinking is also detrimental to reporting sexual harassment. And again, women, I know women because I am one, men of course as well. We live in a culture that supports certain gender traditional type of stereotypes, and I think that's toxic as well to reporting. Thank you.
Thank you. I know the chairman, I have some other questions, but I know the chairman needs to keep this going.
Thank you.